Good day, everyone. This is Pine Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Hope everybody had a safe and happy Memorial Day today. Would also like to take just a second to thank all of the veterans, the future, past, and the present. And, of course, remember all the veterans that gave their lives so we can sit here and do this podcast. So thank you very much from all of us here at DDO Players.
And thank you. So now let's head into our game news because there was actually some game news over the weekend.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it? We're so used to, game news, not much, move along. But
No, move along. All right, yeah. And it could wait till Monday.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't wait till Monday or Tuesday in this case. And that is that we have the Summer Producers Letter.
We do, and as you said, this was kind of bizarre because it hit Saturday afternoon. I noticed that the post went up. So Seberlin decided, hey, I think Saturday afternoon, the weekend of Memorial Day, is a great time to release this.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over it and see what Seberlin has to say. He starts the letter out by saying, greetings. As we kick off summer, many things are going on behind the scenes in Dungeons & Dragons Online, and I wanted to talk about some of the fun things coming up for the game. We have been doing a lot to combat lag in-game, and though we have improved the experience, we have work to do. We will still continue to look into the long lag spikes, which we need to solve, and we will also be working on some fixes for stacking effects that could be causing individual characters and the party they are traveling with to lag. Our investigations into server performance continue, and this is our number one priority. And I must say, the lag has improved immensely for me. I don't know about anybody else's experiences, but I know for me, I hardly have any at all anymore. Every once in a while, I'll get little small, short lag bursts, but it's considerably a lot better than what it was when the data center first moved.
Yeah, I haven't noticed too much in the way of lag recently. And, of course, lag is one of those things is you notice it most when it's there, so to speak.
Yeah, that's true. That's usually how it works. It's when it's hitting you, it's really annoying, and you get really ticked off, and you really think about it. So, but anything else you want to say on lag before we move on?
No, I haven't had a chance to play on Wayfinder yet. I've got to get on there and find out how it's working on there, since that's the place where I really experienced it.
Oh yeah, it's Wayfinder is, like I said, I think last week we touched on this a little bit. Wayfinder is 110% better now, because Wayfinder was unplayable for me, and now that's kind of where I experienced a little short lag burst, but not too major of a thing. So let's move on to section 2 of our producer's letter. Sabrina says, the next thing I wanted to talk about is some upcoming content that we are currently working on. We are going to bring a new classic module experience. They are hard at work on their adaptation of Assault on the Slave Lords, originally presented in the A1 to A3 series of modules, which is not quite correct, but I'll get to that in a second. We remember playing through the Slaver series fondly, and we want to bring those modules to life for our players with some of our twists and turns. The dungeons will be offered starting at level 8 on Heroic, and they will also have CR32 legendary versions as well. Okay, number 1, Slavers was a fun set of modules to run through, and it makes kind of sense why they're doing it, because they tied into the Temple of Elemental Evil very, very well. So I'm kind of assuming that's why they're choosing this one. But the Slavers were actually A1 to A4. And A4 was like a crazy dungeon crawl where you start out with no equipment, no armor, no nothing. You were captured and you're in the dungeons.
Maybe that's why they wanted to avoid it.
So that just seems logical for me, because that would be a dungeon. There are dungeon aspects to A1 and A3 as well, but I'm excited about it. And yeah, DDO Central is saying we do need to get that A4N fight with the slave lords on the docks in the DDO version, and I agree. A4 was kind of in my opinion, was kind of the weakest of the four, but it had some great points.
Hold it, you said on the docks, but that's how A4 ends?
Yes. Yeah, it's like a huge, like epic moment in the module where you're battling the slave lords and you're on some. Yeah.
Wait, is this on a cove?
Not really.
Oh, okay. It's a completely different one because I remember because when I was in a slave type module, I distinctly remember the most epic scene that we had on there was a battle in a smuggler's cove. So it might be a different module than that I did before.
Slave series takes you through parts of Greyhawk because it's actually set in Greyhawk, at least the pen and paper version. Right. Not sure what DDO is going to do with it. As we were kind of talking before the show, my guess is they're going to set it up kind of like they did with the temple, where they're not going to really say where it's at, but the gatekeepers can transport you there somehow, would be my guess.
All right, then. Does that mean they're going to get Will Wheaton to narrate it?
I don't know. That would be cool again. And then some of you might be asking, but hold the phone, wait just a second. I thought we were told, in which we did an interview with a bunch of the devs and Severlin, and they gave us a hint that the next classic module they were working on was going to be kind of horror-themed and was going to release around Halloween. Well, that question was brought up in the thread on the forum with the producer's letter, and Seb says, yes, plans did change for the classic module. We had some major resource shuffling, and we had to push out our original plans a bit. It probably is something we'd like to revisit in the future. So I guess the Halloween horror-themed classic module, cough, Tomb of Horrors, will be coming at some point. I'm sorry. I still say it's the Tomb of Horrors. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to find out when it comes out.
All right. Anything else you want to say on that before we move on?
I think that's enough.
All right. And he goes on to say, as you probably know, we have already begun discussing the update to Kenneth Crafting. Ever since we've updated Random Loop, players have been asking for an update to this crafting system, and the project is in full swing. It's a big system that we will provide a good way to fill in gear holes as you level. And all I can say to them for that, good luck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that sounds like about an assessment. Good luck.
We'll see how you pull it off.
It'll be even better luck at getting it so that people are actually interested in doing it.
Exactly. So, but there is a lot of people that are really into crafting. I personally am not one of them, but there is a lot of people that really enjoy crafting, and I know they're really waiting to see these changes. So, and they do keep that King of the Crafting thread that's on the forum. They do keep that updated, and players are giving suggestions, and the devs are kind of going back and forth with players on some stuff. So, we'll see. Hopefully, at some point soon, TM will get something up on Lamania that we can look at to see this crafting changes. But once again, good luck. Seb then goes on to say, players have also been asking about class passes, and the next two classes to be looked at will likely be the Monk and the Favored Soul. We are currently looking into the core code behind unarmed attacks and hand wraps to see if that needs to be revamped. We are also looking into giving Favored Soul a third tree. Both are big tasks, but we wanted players to know that the next classes we are looking at once we get past Kenneth Crafting. So, monks and favorite souls all rejoice. I know there's a lot of talk on the forums about monks really need a lot of love, so I guess that's a good thing. And kind of see, not as much as monks, but I do see a little bit of talk about favorite souls. So, I'm trying to think, you don't have a monk, do you, Pineleaf? I don't think you've ever played a monk that I know of.
I did during the permadeath thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you had your little permadeath project. So what did you? Of course, you didn't play it a lot then, but what did you think of the monk? And I mean, can you see it needing a pass, or didn't you get enough monkiness out of it to figure out that.
Well, it's big thing in the monk is well, first of all, it has a few things in there that remind me of the warden from Lotro.
Well, yeah, I guess I can
Yeah,
kind of
you
see
can
how you.
see because they're very strong on combinations and the like.
Right.
I
Yeah.
never did quite completely understand them all and things like that. So it could be that part of the pass is to make it a little bit more comprehensible.
But we'll see what they do. And like I said, I do know a lot of people have been wanting them to look at unarmed combat because it's a little like weird and brokenish at this point on some
It's
things.
brokenish.
Yeah, I know that it seems like when I'm on my not my wolf lock, but just my plain druid, and when I'm in wolf form, it seems like to me that the wolf unarmed attack is not working correctly. So I definitely can see where unarmed attacks need to be looked at, and I know there's still the whole problem where a lot of the hand wraps are broken for monks, which that has been a problem basically since monk came out. So it'll be really interesting to see what they say. And Dantel is saying, yes, he completely agrees. He can't figure out how to play the monk in DDO, and he was pretty much the same way. He can never play a warden in Lotro either. So he agrees with your assessment, finally.
Yes, except the weird thing is that I do know how to play wardens in Lotro, though.
You are Mr. Warden, as a matter of fact. You have an army of them, but that is a different podcast. On the
Yeah,
Players
that's a
Network.
different. Yeah, that's a different podcast.
And then Seb goes on in his producer letter. We'd also like to offer players another open enhancement tree like the Harper at some point to open up more build options, and we're looking to see where that might fit in. So once again, enhancement trees are always good. More build options are always good. Don't really have much to say on it, but I know a lot of people in the producers letter thread were pretty excited about that. Just the chance that they will have some more builds they can play with. So never a bad thing, unless they totally screw it up. But hopefully that won't happen. Then he also says we were fairly happy with the Night Rebels Festival in the fall of last year. And this year, we will be looking to add more haunted dungeons and maybe some other surprises. The festival was fairly popular, so we'd like to expand on it a bit. We would also like to revamp the rewards for the Mimic Festival and bring that back. Maybe with rewards based on players' feedback that are less random. Anything that is less random, I give 2 thumbs up to. Because we all know how much I love the RNG.
Yes, of course. You the RNG and you just
We just don't get along, that RNG and I.
you had a spat some time ago and never recovered from it.
But I enjoyed the Night Rebels a lot. I enjoyed the Mimic Festival as well. I mean, it was always fun to where you open up a chest and it maybe was a Mimic, it maybe wasn't. So that was always fun. I do know that there was a thread, and I'll have to see if I can find it again, where people were talking about maybe bringing back what used to be the old Maybar event loot, some of that. So maybe that's something they could put into the Mimic event if they would have to do. Because they had said when they brought out Night Rebels last year, they had said if they would ever bring the Mimic Festival back, they would have to totally redo the drop tables because it was basically using the same things what they put into Night Rebels. So that would be a good opportunity to maybe get some of that older Maybar loot that everybody still loves and still misses and wants to get. So we'll see what they do, but and you didn't do too much of the Night Rebels, did you, Pineleaf? I think we ran through it once. Maybe we ran through the dungeons.
Yeah, you were with me at any time that I ran something in it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it was a fun event. I liked it. I like how they're, quote unquote, making, the dungeons that we do, like, haunted versions of them. So that's kind of interesting. And there's, I could think of 4 or 5 right now that I would like to see them do. So maybe we'll see them do that. But I guess that is on their radar, according to our producer's letter. And then we come to another system we want to tackle is the augment system. Players have been asking for new augments, but the current incarnation of augments are created by hand as crafting interactions. We will be looking into the feasibility of moving existing and future augments into a new system that will work like slotting system that our legendary green steel crafting system uses. The technical complexity comes with how we will allow players to convert existing items to use new augments. If we can tackle these problems, then we can do some interesting things with the augment slots and more regularly include augments as part of our ongoing loot. And I say good luck to you, good luck. Because that is really scary to me when they're talking about changing that along with Game of Crafting. That's a recipe for disaster. So good luck on those changes, and may you do it wisely.
Yeah, I've done very little in relation to augments. I think the only thing I ever used augments for was I had a water breathing augment, I think, on our previous character, and I bought something with a yellow topaz slot in it so that I could stick it in there.
Yep, you did actually. Yeah, I'm starting to kind of play with the augment system a little more and more now. I'm not like hardcore into it or anything, but I can see where if you really take your time and plan it out, you can really buff up your character immensely by using augments. Then again, you have to like plan characters out more than what I tend to do. So
yeah,
we'll see, but it's will be interesting to see what they do, and kind of would like to see the system maybe be a little easier, which sounds like they're thinking about doing. So I guess we'll see. But then again, that's kind of like the Kenneth Crafting update. That's a scary big system to work at. So good luck. And Seb ends his producer's letter with, the far future has a lot of promise, and looking past the end of the year, we would definitely like to bring Tiefling and Aasimar to our players at some point. Tiefling, in particular, is a popular race for Dungeons & Dragons, and we would like to have those races as options for your characters.
Now, this is the first time where I ever heard them mention Tieflings, character race, and no way is it ever going to happen without.
That's right. But there is a but. They will need to determine whether we plan to include tails on the tieflings and how the horns of the race will interact with helmets.
Well, yeah, I knew that.
Both of these are interesting problems to tackle, and we have already had some discussion about them, even though these races would be fairly far into the future. We just wanted to talk about the long-term plans we will be looking into, and we wanted to say thanks for joining us in game, Seb. So there is our latest producer's letter, but I say tieflings, yes, please. Like yesterday, yes, please.
Well, it's not going to be yesterday, I'm afraid.
No, it's going to be way, way far out. And, like I said, Seb even in his letter said it's far out. But as far as the whole tail issue, my personal opinion is just don't include them because the NPC tieflings do not have tails. So just don't have a tail. I mean, but I don't care either way if my tiefling has a tail or not. And then the horn issue, I'm sure there's some kind of tech somehow they could work out to where just if you have a tiefling, your helmet never shows. So that way you could always see your horns. Then again, that would be my opinion on how to fix that because I always hide helmets anyway. So to me, it wouldn't be that big a deal if my helmet never showed.
I guess maybe a checkbox. In one option, it never shows the... No, okay, that's right. If you have helmets always on, no horns are shown. I mean, you see the horn. But if you have helmets activated, then it doesn't show the horn or anything like that. So it's like turn off horns on or off, depending on which...
I mean, I agree. Like I said, I never show helmets anyway, so I could really, care less if, because tieflings, you got to have the horns on. I mean, that is like and then I know some people would argue, but in pure, pen and paper D&D, the tiefling tail is the most iconic thing about a tiefling, blah, 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 blah.
I never played a tiefling, so I wouldn't know.
But it is, but then again, not that big a deal to me. I mean, it's fine. And, like I said, NPC tieflings. There's no tails on them, and I never even thought twice about it. I didn't. The first time I saw a tiefling, I was like, "That's not a true tiefling. It doesn't have a tail." I was like, "Holy crap, it's a tiefling! That's awesome!" So that's just my opinion on it. But so there you go. That's our producer's letter. So it'll be interesting to see what's coming up. We do have the classic dungeons coming up. We got the Kenneth Crafting and the Augment passes, and at some point the Monk and the Favored Soul, and then Tiefling and Assamites in the far out future. So we'll see what happens for DDO. But it looks like they are full steam ahead over at Turbine.
All right. The turbines are spinning. So let's head into the DDO Chronicle issue 192. And what room is that?
That is in one of the new dungeons, Search and Rescue.
Ah. All right. And anything exciting in this week's Chronicle?
There is a player by the name of Forgettable NPC, which I applaud the name, sir. Good on you for the name. He is running a forum-based choose-your-own-adventure. So click over, jump into that forum thread, and be a part of it. It's actually a pretty interesting thread to read through. I read through the whole thing the other day, and I was amused and enjoyed the whole time I was reading how he's doing his choose-your-own-adventure. So check that out. And then also there is a player by the name of DDO Guidance, which actually, let me rephrase that, it's not a player, it is a new advice channel on the Kyber server. So if you play on Kyber, use the command /join channel DDO Guidance. And if you have any questions, that channel is there for your questions, and you will get some answers. And I popped in on there the other day. I joined that channel, and there was some people asking questions, and people got some really good answers. And it was great to see the community acting in that way. So, and it's great for newer players too. So, /join channel DDO Guidance if you play on Kyber.
Now, I'm going to ask you then, there is no advice channel in DDO?
There is an advice channel. It's /advice.
Then why, is it trolled or something like that? Because I'm wondering why you need a guidance channel if you've got an...
It depends on... I'm trying to think how I want to word this so I don't get yelled at by anybody. It depends on your server.
All right.
Some servers are better with the advice channel than others. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I'm not going to name names, but there is one particular server I would not use the advice channel at all. Because you are going to get ripped apart if you do.
You get ripped apart for using the advice channel. And
Dantel is bringing up a good point, too, that /advice is also localized as well.
Oh, it is?
Yes. So, and the player-created one on Kyber will be a server-wide. So that kind of helps, too. But
okay.
That is another point. So thanks, Dantel, for pointing that out. I didn't even think about that, but that is a good point. Further on in the Chronicle, we have the fansite news section. The Damsels of DDO headed into Wayloon for some epic questing. So click over there and see the crazy damsels take on Wayloon Prison. Jeff over at DDO Gamer has created a DDO-themed crossword. Click over if you're into crosswords and see if you can solve that puzzle. And Ginger Spice over on his YouTube channel is introducing a new video project. So click over and see what Ginger Spice is up to. We have our Chronicle comment for this Chronicle, Pineleaf. The question is, it's your main against a heavily armored military tank. Who wins and how?
My main.
So I guess you got to pick which one of your characters is actually your main.
I guess this depends on how, because I haven't played my Artificer recently, and currently I guess I've been playing Warlocks quite a bit. So let's say, that'll be a level 7 Warlock against a military tank.
All right, so who?
I'm in trouble.
Okay, how are you in trouble, though?
How am I in trouble?
Set the scene for me, Pineleaf. Take
all right.
me there in my mind.
Very well. What is the big thing I've got going for me is this sonic-based blast going boom, 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 boom. I'm trying to think, and you're saying a tank. Now, we're talking about a modern tank?
A heavily armored military modern tank.
Okay, heavy Right. And now I might having all these sound things smashing into the tank. I suspect that the tank is going to just shrug off the damage from it. Now there could be sound penetrating into the tank, driving the crew crazy. And that might give me something, at least so that I can get away before the thing is able to turn its gun towards me and fire. Actually, they'll probably bring out the machine guns instead.
So you're not as big a trouble as you thought you were.
Yes, but you got to remember, a machine gun is too much like a Gatling ballista.
That is very true. And
recently, I've been ripping those guys apart because I've been coming around them from the back.
See, that's what I told you. I told you, always kill from behind. And see, that would be my answer because, well, actually, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, though. What used to be my main is probably not my main anymore, so it's tough. I mean, now is like my main one of my rangers, or is it still my rogue? If it's my rogue, I'm going to say I'm going to win because I'm going to sneak, and I'm going to sneak up on top of the tank, I'm going to sneak into the tank, and I'm going to kill them before they even knew I was in there.
You are going to open the...
I am that good a sneak rogue, finally. I can do it.
Okay.
And that is our Chronicle this week. Of course, we do have the Chronicle screenshot of the week, and that is the Loot Gods Smile Upon the Party in the 272nd screenshot of the week.
Smile upon the party.
Apparently, I was not in that party.
Well,
yes,
no. Well, because we already know that the Loot Gods never smile upon you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, let's then head into our store sales for this week. And is there anything new and exciting for sale?
We've got 30%. Oh, I like what you did there, finally. We have 30% off the Slayer Count boost, the Select Shared Storage, Jewels of Fortune, the Treasure Hunters Elixirs, all in the store this week at 30% off. The free sample of the week through June 2nd is the Long-Lasting Cat Agility Potion. You will get 5 of those when you use one of the best coupon codes they have ever came up with, Cat's Meow. You can use that code, 1 per account, so choose wisely.
Choose wisely.
And I love it that the vanity codes are back. Especially when they do stuff like Cat's Meow.
Yep, that's definitely a good one. So then let's head into our site news, where we'll begin with our players' poll. And that was, what is your favorite part of Update 31 Gnome Work?
Which we found out during pre-show. For some reason, WordPress decided to do its own thing and not do what I told it to. And this poll ended in like 2 days. So I wondered why we got a bunch of votes all at once and then nobody voted after that. Well, that's because it was closed and it shouldn't have been. So if you tried to vote and it said the poll was closed, I apologize for that. But in the short span that it was open, we did have 49 votes. And the winning answer was the Search and Rescue New Quest at 47% of the votes. 29% was lag improvements, with that was in second place. Fighter Kensai, 16% at third place. 16% also tied at third place was nothing. Umber Hulks came in fourth at 10%, and the Volume Slider also came in at 10%.
All right, then let's talk about Screenshot of the Week, which is number 51, which is showing this week's shot comes from Brack Barefeet. Brackfeet is sitting on a throne reading, and no, he doesn't look like he's got bare feet to me, but that's beside the point. He is sitting on a throne that's next to a res shrine. And you can see that along with our other screenshots of the week at the DDO Players site. If you would like to provide us with the screenshot, you could send it over to DDO Players, where we feature a screenshot when we receive one. We don't receive one every single week, which is why our screenshot total is less than our Show total. So we can see what's coming in from the dungeon?
We can. Let's do it. Let's head into the dungeon.
All right. Conquest Journals is now taking pre-orders. What's Conquest?
Conquest journals are journal-type books that you can pick up at most of the major conventions. They recently just signed a 2-year deal with Gen Con, so they have the new version for Gen Con. And what this is, as I said, it is a hardback bound journal, and they also have a leather version as well, that you carry around your convention that you're at. And there are different sections of the journal. They have the autograph quest section, where, of course, that is where you can have actors, authors, artists, whoever, game developers, whatever you would like. If you want to get an autograph, they can sign it right in your journal. You have a nice place to do that with. Then you do have an artist quest, and that is if you're going to Artist Alley, which I know at Gen Con there's an Artist Alley. I don't know about other conventions. You can put any sketches, like if you want to have one of the artists do a sketch for you, you can just hand him your journal, and he can sketch it right in your journal for you, and then you'll have it in your journal forever. And if you have some great cosplay pictures that you've taken, well, you can print those off and put them in your cosplay quest section of your journal. And then, once again, there's a panel quest, which makes sense. You can probably guess what it does. That's where you write down notes for panels that you attend.
Wow, what a shock. Is there a tournament quest one?
I'm surprised there's not. There is a peep quest, which that is just where you can, if you find people, you meet people at a table you're playing with, you can get their information, get their name, write it down so you remember it. A vendor quest section and a city quest section. But there's no tournament. I'll have to mention that to them. Why is there not a tournament quest section? Because they're going to be at Gen Con, and I was talking to the creator of Conquest Journals, and she invited me to come by their booth, and I told her I would come by for an interview, so when we do our Gen Con coverage, we will find out more about them. But right now, they are doing pre-orders on this year's Gen Con version. You can go over and pre-order now, and you can get a discount if you pre-order. So now is the time to do it. And I must say that the leather version of this, if you look on the post I put up on DDO Players, the leather version of this journal is amazing looking.
Right. And now I have a question for you, Drac.
And I have an answer, maybe.
What do you get when you cross Pathfinder with Traveler?
You get Starfinder, sci-fi RPG, coming soon from Paizo. Is that the right answer?
That is the right answer.
Hey, I got it right. Yes, Paizo is publishing a sci-fi version of Pathfinder. This will be compatible with Pathfinder. It will be cross-playable. So if you want to bring in stuff from Pathfinder, you can, because it'll slide right in, or vice versa. Though I don't know why you would want sci-fi in Pathfinder, but hey, some people do, some people don't. It's up to you.
They're doing the Keep of the Borderlands.
That would be amazing, actually, now that you say that. That has some great possibilities. But yes, so this will be out in August, and the name of it is Starfinder. This will be releasing with the first book, the Starfinder RPG Core Rulebook, which makes sense, because to have a good RPG, you need a core rulebook. And here you go. And that'll come out, as I said, in August at Gen Con is when that's coming out. And then future Starfinder products is also going to include rule supplements, monthly adventure pass, and some epic campaigns and new monsters and other rules elements they plan to add to it. But they did stress when they made this announcement that the Pathfinder RPG is not going away. It's still going to be there. It's still going to be maintained. They're still going to update it. They're still going to bring stuff out for it. They're just bringing in the sci-fi element for the fans that want to play just pure sci-fi, or fans that want to play pure fantasy. You have your choice now.
Then we'll see how well that goes, because if I remember correctly, some of the science fiction D20 rule sets didn't take off all that much.
No, they didn't. Well, that's because some of them were extremely bad, too. So.
Well, that is a minor detail there, yes.
Coming from Paizo, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a pretty good quality product. So we'll see how it goes, though.
All right, then let's see what's on the tabletop. And the Ninja Division is to publish LOAD, the League of Ancient Defenders.
And you might be asking yourself, what the heck is load, as it were?
Something heavy, I think.
Well, yes, it is a pretty decent-sized tabletop board game. What this is think about, have you ever played a MOBA, Pineleaf?
Not really.
Okay, if you're not familiar with what a MOBA is, that is basically an arena-type battle with two teams, and the two teams come in, and there's usually lanes that you run in. That's how most MOBAs work. Well, this is what this board game is. It's a board game tabletop version of a MOBA. There's not any particular, one MOBA, though. It's not like it's a, tabletop version of League of Legends. That would probably be the biggest MOBA that's out right now.
Oh, okay. It's going to be as successful as Infinite Crisis?
Ooh, that's a low blow, Pine. Too soon.
Okay.
But this is up on Kickstarter now. It shattered its goal. It's going through stretch goals now. But we did find out that Ninja Division is going to publish this because when it was up on Kickstarter, there really wasn't a publisher for North America. But now there is because Ninja Division stepped up to the plate. So, as I said, it's a 2-team, 2 to 6 player skirmish board game where you treat it like a MOBA. You have lanes that you run down through, and you're just trying to destroy your opponent's base. So look for that later this year. The Kickstarter is still running, has a few more days left. There's no street date on exactly when it's going to be released, but we will let you know. But Ninja Division did say that any of the Kickstarter backers, they're going to concentrate on getting those out first, and then they will go for a retail release.
So you're saying, somehow going down lanes doesn't sound very skirmishy. It sounds more like a capture the flag type thing instead.
I was waiting for you to chime in with that little comment. That's how they described it. I was just reading what the press release said.
All right, then let's head into Vikings Gone Wild, the board game. Okay.
I could make a joke here, but I won't. This is based off the popular iOS and Android title Vikings Gone Wild. In the game, players are the head of Viking clans, and you're looking to show that your clan is the most worthy to the Norse gods. And you will do that by attacking other players, build magnificent town halls, and other buildings that will be used for both offense and defense. And you will complete missions. Once you do that, you might earn the favor of the gods, and you will get the key victory points, and that is how you win the game. As I said, this is based off the Vikings Gone Wild, which is a huge iOS and Android real-time strategy game. And it looks like the board game is going to play pretty similar to how the iOS version and Android version plays. So check it out. There's a video up on our site. This too is on Kickstarter as well. They smashed through their Kickstarter goal in less than 2 hours, I might add. So now they're working on those stretch goals. Head over to the post up on DDO Players. Check out the Kickstarter page and learn more about Vikings Gone Wild.
All right, that sounds like it's going to be a wild game, that's for sure. So let's then head into Dungeon Crusade, Book 1, Genesis of Evil. And this is something that's also available on Kickstarter.
It seems like Kickstarter is the way to go for games these days. So here's a hint that I have seen. You want to make a game, go to Kickstarter to make your game. Because apparently people have lots of money to throw at Kickstarters for board games. Or at least it seems that way to me. But yes, this is Dungeon Crusade Book 1, Genesis of Evil. That is a really long title. But were you ever in the mood for just a good old-fashioned dungeon crawl, Pineleaf? But maybe your players didn't come prepared. They forgot their characters. Maybe you as the DM weren't prepared. Or maybe no one wanted to DM. Well, this game is your answer because this is a board game version of the classic dungeon crawl.
All right, and how is this going to get me more excited than, let's say, One Deck Dungeon or Wrath of a Shardlin?
Well, I know you, and it's not going to be exciting for you because this is going to be way too complicated and have way too many pieces.
Okay.
So I think you're out right now. But for those of you that are still listening, in the game, your party will enter an ancient dungeon that is located beneath a village to stem the tide of evil that is just messing with all the poor villagers. Each time you visit the dungeon, you will have an overarching goal that you will need to achieve to earn success. But you can also pick up side quests while you're getting ready to go in the dungeon, and that will earn you further gold and further fame. It is a solo and cooperative game for 2 to 6 players. And as we said, this once again is up on Kickstarter now. I haven't looked lately. I know they were kind of close to their goal when I made this post. They are not as close as I thought they were.
Oh.
They are about $20,000 away with 27 days to go. So check that out if you're in the mood for a dungeon crawl and you want to play a board game version of it.
Yes, and I recommend that you only do this is if you've got a ton of table space.
Yeah, if you look at the post I put up on DDO Players, that is a huge game. There is a lot of pieces, and you do need a lot of tabletop space for it. Which kind of seems to be the way games are going these days. There's a lot of games that are just freaking huge in their table space here lately.
I see both extremes coming out quite a bit, because we have some that are really huge and others, oh yeah, you could play this on your tray while you're traveling on an airplane. I mean, remember how the popularity of the Tiny Epic series.
That is very true. You do bring up a valid point with that. I forgot about Tiny Epic, and that, as you said, you really, in theory, you could play that on a airplane tray because it is that small. So,
and in fact, they're ready to come out with a version of Tiny Epic Kingdoms that's called Ultra Tiny Epic Kingdoms, which is a travel version of Tiny Epic Kingdoms, as if you needed a travel version of Tiny Epic Kingdoms.
What I was just about to say. Now, do we really need a smaller version of that? But okay, good to know.
Then let's head into our weekend DDO, where we go over some of the insane things that we have done during the course of the weekend. Track, what were you up to?
Once again, I didn't get a lot of playtime. I mean, I got a fairly decent amount in, I guess. I did on my Ranger, which is still sitting at level 20, did the Search and Rescue quest. I did that on hard. And for the first time, I ran that quest a couple times now, and I've never actually done the optional that is in there. That optional is insane for that quest. It is, number one, it is very long. It is very huge, and at least in my opinion, it was one of the hardest optionals I think I've ever done in any quest.
Okay, it wasn't just walk up to the monster and beat on it.
No. It is the option. Let me put it this way, and I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free because I know Pine Leaf hasn't done this quest yet. The optional is almost as long as the main dungeon itself is. And the optional is basically another dungeon you have to run through.
Oh, for both, I thought you were going to say it was as long as the Temple of Elemental Evil.
It's... Yeah, well, I don't think it's quite that long, but it's pretty comparable. But oh my gosh, is that boss crazy at the end of that. But I really enjoyed the optional. And then after I got done with the optional, I trekked my way all the way back out and then went and finished off the quest. Once again, keeping it spoiler free. Won't talk about the boss that you fight, but every time I fight that boss, I enjoy it so much. And then I opened up my chest.
And nothing's in there.
RNG screwed me again, Pine Leaf. 760 gold pieces and a longsword.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you got a rock.
Just about. I'm like, seriously, 760 gold pieces and a longsword. That's it. And it wasn't even a named longsword. It was just a random loot-generated longsword. So I'm like, how many times can the RNG screw me? How many?
You really want to know?
No, not really. We'll just pretend I never said that statement, because now it's going to get worse for me. So after that travesty of justice with my 760 gold pieces and a longsword, I hopped into my static group. With that, of course, is with Mythery Savagade of the Damsels of DDO, and Rent Tapone also plays with us. Rent was actually MIA this week. So Saba and Mithri and I were trying to decide what to do. So we decided that we would just go and run the Coin Lord quests, some of those for Faber, because we just wanted to get the extra bags slot. Because we didn't want to do anything where we'd level, because as we're a static group, you want to stay the same level with your other people. And since Rent weren't there, we decided, hey, that is the thing to do. So we ran the Seal of Chanticleer on Elite. We did the Garrison's Missing Pack, Kobold's New Ruler Missing in Action, and the Sunken Sewer on Elite. And I guess, let me preface this when I say that we ran it. We didn't really run these, we zerged them. It was the zergiest zerg, if there ever was a zerg. And I kid you not, at one point, Saba Jade asked Myth and I why we were so slow behind her. She was like 4 rooms ahead of us, and we're running behind her. And she's like, would you hurry up and get in here so I can trigger the boss? So yes, the zergiest zerg that ever did zerg. That is what we did.
And it was still too slow for one of the players.
Yeah. Oh, Saba. But yeah, we did get our extra bag space, though, so the zerg was worth it. So now if I run quests too fast, you'll know why, Pineleaf.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know why. I blame it all on Saba. And then I did run some DDO with you, but we'll let you talk about that. Over on Arganescent, I had to get my level 20 Wolflock ready for the damsels are going to be running the Shroud Raid. We're going to do an all-wolf Shroud Raid. And you remember a couple of weeks ago, I had Shroud flagged with them, but for some reason, I was missing the Ritual Sacrifice quest. We never did quite figure out why I needed that, because I ran all of the quests with them to flag. But anyway, and it turned out Rent actually needed Rit Sacrifice as well. So him and I ran that. And so we took care of that. Nothing major happened in that. And then he needed Running with the Devils yet to flag. He needed 2 to flag, and I just needed the Rit Sacrifice. So him and I did run Running with the Devils once again. Nothing major to report. Pretty simple. So then I got all my stuff together, went and talked to the lady, went down to the green steel crafting device to craft the item that you need to actually craft to get Shroud flagged. Right. Totally. And I couldn't make the item because I was missing 1 stone. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? I did all of the quests. I should be Shroud flag. I mean, I should have all 5 stones because you get 1 stone for each quest. So I'm like, okay, I don't get what's going on. So I searched through all my bags, searched through, my bank vault, because I thought, well, maybe I just put the stones in there to hold them. Was not in my bank, wasn't in any of my bags, wasn't in any of my crafting bags. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? So Rent decided, Rent, was helping try to figure out what's going on. And we finally figured out that I needed the stone that drops in the coalescence chamber. And he's like, I know you did that because he was running with the damsels that night too. So we all did the coal chamber and we all finished the quest. But for some reason, I didn't get the stone. No idea why. So him and I go back into the coal chamber, and we had to run the coal chamber, which it was a pretty easy run. I've done that enough now to where I can't say that I like the quest, but I know it enough to where it doesn't bother me much, and I'm actually getting to the point where I don't fall when I make the jumps anymore because I'm running so much. So it turns out, we get to the end, and then I open up the chest, and I'm like, I don't remember ever opening this chest before. And then Rent's like, oh my God, I know what happened to you. If you're familiar with Coal Chamber, there's 2 chests that spawn after you finish the quest. One of them has random rewards and the stone that you need. The other one just has random rewards. So what we summarized what happened is the night that we ran that with the damsels, I, for some reason, only opened the other chest that did not have the stone in it. So, ergo, I didn't pick up the stone the first time. That's the only thing we can figure out what happened. So, yay, I got to run Coal Chamber again, I guess. So, but anyway, I'm Shroud flag now, so it's good. We're ready to go. And that run is going to be, if you're listening live in the chat room right now, it's going to be tomorrow evening, Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Pacific, which would be 3 a.m. Eastern. So, yay, I get to stay up and run the Shroud at 3 a.m. Yay. I guess. And that, of course, will be on Twitch and will be archived on the Damsels page and everything as well. So if you want to see the Wolves take on the raid, that will be tomorrow night.
Oh, good grief. That will be...
And then, yeah, that'll be fun, actually, because it was a blast when we did the Wolf Hound raid. So I can see the Shroud being just as fun. And it's always fun to play with the Damsels. So even though I have to stay up till 3 a.m., I can't complain. They're just lucky I like them and I stay up that late to play with them. And the only thing I did this week is I jumped back into Sword Coast Legends, as last week you remember we did talk about the Rage of Demons DLC hit. So I jumped into that, and I've been playing through the main Rage of Demons story and doing some of the side quests. I am enjoying it a lot, enjoying the story. It's interesting to see how they're implementing the whole Rage of Demons storylines into Sword Coast, but it's working well. But that's because they kind of designed it that way, because the main storyline of Sword Coast did involve a demon anyway, so it kind of went hand in hand. So, but those, and I must say, I'm really enjoying some of the side quests they have in there. They are taking the Underdark to a whole new level. That is all I'll say. So, enjoying that.
All right, I still haven't gotten around to doing anything on Sword Coast Legends.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I thought you had bought it, but I didn't remember you ever talked about playing it or anything.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually played it. So, because I think I had bought it, and then there was all that controversy about group running and all that stuff, and I never found the time to play it because I was busy doing other stuff.
Ah, I see. Well, one of these days you'll have to jump in and tell me what your opinions of it is. So, Pineleaf, what did we do this week, and then what were you up to?
Ooh, what was I up to? All right, we'll begin what we did this week, and we went back into the Temple of Elemental Evil and ran part 2 of it. And we went down through there. We got the Earth node. And I don't, I of course I remember those stupid Earth elementals always rooting us, which is a real pain in the neck. But other than that, I don't remember too much about what happened in the Earth node.
It was pretty straightforward. It was,
yeah,
and I was actually surprised that we actually found the thing fairly quick too. But thankfully, we did get the Earth node, because that is the easiest, in my opinion, node to get. Fire's horrible. Water is, I hate the water node. Air's not too bad.
I can't stand air because I always get lost in air.
Well, yeah, but I think I've ran air enough to where I kind of know my way around.
Oh, okay.
But luckily we got Earth. So yeah, we didn't have any major problems with Earth at all. It was pretty straightforward. And like I said, we did find the key we needed fairly quick. And then we got to Zuggedmoy.
Ah, yes, Zuggedmoy. How much fun that was.
So you going to tell what happened? Or...
Well, what happened in that is that, I'm a little bit on the squishy side.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, I believe I died about half a second before the boss fight started.
Yeah, that's about right. Because and I must admit, and I do feel bad about it, but I had to mute my mic because I was laughing pretty hard. Because only Pineleaf can die before the boss fight even starts.
Well, I guess you were running around the room like a madman. And I was asking, where are you running around? And you said, oh, just for the fun of it, or something like that.
Well, yeah, see, I thought you knew about the mushrooms. From the other room that you have to run through, I thought you knew that you had the sheltering mushroom and you had the cleansing mushroom. So I was running around doing that, waiting for her to do her little Zuggedmoy thing to start. And then by the time it was too late, I figured out it's like, oh, you're not running to mushrooms. You're going to die because you have the mushroom funk. And sure enough, you died.
Right. So that happened.
So Pineleaf died before a boss fight even started. Yeah, then I just got just decimated. I didn't stand a chance. Because, well, my problem was, for some reason, as soon as the boss fight started, I got a couple hits on her, and then, of course, she spawns her ads. When she spawned her ads, the cleansing mushroom that is supposed to spawn, I never saw it spawn. So I died from the mushrooms as well because I couldn't cure myself. And I don't know if it actually spawned and I didn't see it spawn, or if it was a bug and it didn't spawn. But Yeah, so that was probably the quickest Zugamoy wipe in history.
Well,
It was fun though.
It was certainly crazy, that's for sure. After, all right then, on my elf warlock, since this is the end of the month of the elf, on that I was running part 2 of the Temple of Elemental Evil. And I went in there, and I was going in. I went down to the dungeon, and you clear out the first area. You find the key in order to open up the way into that big chamber. And I was clearing out the gargoyles when it looked like somebody. I don't know. I didn't think I went anywhere near the center, so it might be my hireling went near the center or something like this. But then our old friends, the clerics, came down and I felt like there's an army coming after us or something like this because I was suddenly being ripped apart, and so was my hireling, and yeah, so we wiped on that. There we go. Okay. Now, we died so fast in there, I said, all right, I've got time for another time through. So I went through again, and this time I managed to survive that hall, got everything through on there. I think the first time I was running the hireling on guard. This time I decided to see what happened if I ran on aggressive. So I was running on aggressive this time, and that actually worked out better. We survived that room, and the selection was fire. So now I would, of course, went into the fire node, and of course I think the very, very last room that I uncovered in the entire place is where the gem was.
Of course it was.
And therefore, I eventually got there and accidentally went to the beginning of the node instead of to the exit to the node. So after discovering that, I went back, found the exit to the node, and I didn't have time to go to the other node. So I decided, all right, besides, the next one's for air, and that tends to take forever for me, as I said earlier. So I decided, all right, let's go face Zugamoid. Now, the trouble is that just before I went into the chamber to go into Zugamoid's chamber, my hireling got killed. And I thought, all right, there's a rest shrine on the other side of this, right?
Not so much.
Yeah, there is a rest shrine, but not a res shrine.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was a one-way trip. Okay, that was bad news. So now I was stuck, and it was time to do the Zugamoid boss fight without a cleric. And I think this is also going to be a letter to me that next time, maybe before I go into the temple, I should remember this is a character that became level 7 through veteran status, because that's part of the challenge is to use veteran status to get to 7 and rather than questing through it.
Right.
So therefore I had 0 potions. Actually, I think I might have had 1 useless potion on me, but I had 0 useful potions. So I went in there, no potions. I walk into there, and now I'm saying, all right, now there are supposed to be mushrooms around here somewhere, right? I could not find. It wasn't until the start, just before the boss fight started, where I finally saw a mushroom that I could click on. So I managed to stabilize my condition finally at 7 hit points.
Oh, jeez. Oh, good grief.
Actually, I think I lasted longer in the boss fight than I really had any right to expect, considering that I was entering at 7 hit points and no cleric with me.
Yeah, that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I did last longer than I did during our run together. So that didn't work out very well, but all right. That is where I finished then. And, well, someday hopefully I could be able to learn about this. And so by the time I get to the last race in December, I would be better prepared for this fight.
We will actually do it. I will make it my goal to get you through part 2 alive.
Okay, we shall see. So then I ran Castle Ravenloft, the board game, using Adventure Impossible, which is the large-scale solo adventure in there. And that went pretty well. I managed to kill all 3 bosses, which is the goal of the whole thing. It took me all 5 characters to do so. I came in there and I immediately got the Howling Hag. And so therefore, And it was real pain because very early on I got a gargoyle and I was sitting in one of the corners where the howling hag could teleport you. And I'm just thinking, okay, I just hope I don't teleport next to the gargoyle who's then going to immediately wake up and pound me, because as long as I don't go near the gargoyle, just sits there. But if you get teleported to the gargoyle spot, you are going to get hit in the head.
And how'd that work out for you?
Well, actually, if I remember correctly, that character did get killed eventually, but it wasn't by the hag or by the gargoyle, but instead by a crossbow trap that popped up. So therefore, I had all these traps right near the entrance to the dungeon. So it was always tricky whenever I had a new character entering and trying to dodge aside so that I don't fall over, especially the crossbow trap, which affects not only that tile but all the adjacent tiles. So I had to avoid all four of those tiles to avoid being shot to death by the crossbow. But eventually I got through that. I went through each character. Let's see, the second one I got was the flesh golem. And I wound up, and with the flesh golem, it's very tricky because the flesh golem heads towards the entrance. So you got to slow down the flesh golem so it doesn't get to the entrance, while at the same time not wanting to be too close to the flesh golem and get pounded too much. So I was trying to juggle that. So I went through another character on that one. And then finally, I got the zombie dragon. And the zombie dragon, I think, chewed through two of mine until I got the last character, the fighter. And finally, the fighter came in pretty fresh, and the zombie dragon was already pretty much down. So the fighter just pretty once he came in, he go, bonk, you're dead. So I survived.
So it wasn't quite so impossible after all, then.
It wasn't quite so impossible after all. We currently have 25 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to support DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with us here on DDO Players News. And this week, we don't have any iTunes reviews or featured comments, and no emails. But if you'd like to send us an email, you could send it to podcast@ddoplayers.com. And you could also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, DDO Players @DDO Players, Dracula @Dracula_72, and Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles. And you could also join us at our Steam group. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Loto Players News. Every other Saturday after Loto Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk. And on the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Loto Academy After School. And you can join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. That is all for this week, and this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.